Salvete discipuli. In this video, we're going to be talking about third declension adjectives. And so before we begin, I want to just quickly review first and second declension adjectives and compare them to third declension adjectives, which you're about to see. So first and second declension adjectives are adjectives that can describe any noun, and their dictionary form has three parts. It has a part for the masculine, a part for the feminine, and a part for the neuter. And an example of a dictionary form is multus multus and all of the forms that stem from it. Us, e, o, those are all ways you could say many. Multa and all of the forms that flow from that. Are different ways you can say many as well if you're describing many feminine things. And then multum, multi, multo, multum, multo. Those are different ways you can say many too if you're describing many neuter things like many rivers. And so this is an example of a dictionary form for a third declension word, for a first and second declension adjective. For a third declension adjective, the number of parts to the dictionary form, well, they vary. So what I'm going to be showing you today is a kind of third declension adjective called adjectives of two terminations. So I'm going to tell you what that means. It sounds scarier than it really is. We're going to start with brevis breve. Actually, yep, we're going to start with brevis breve. Brevis breve has two parts to its dictionary form. The first part, brevis, is going to be for masculine and for feminine. The second part, breve, is going to be for neuter, and all a termination is the nominative singular form for a particular gender. So brevis is the nominative singular form for masculine words. So if you had a short man, homo brevis, or if you had a short law, law is feminine, I'll save that one. If you had a short slave, servus brevis. Now, brevis is also for feminine. So if you had a short law, lex brevis. Or if you had a short girl, and that girl was the subject of the sentence, puella brevis. But if you had a short journey, the word iter itineris is a neuter word. You'd say iter breve if it was the nominative. Okay, so that's all a termination is. Adjectives that have two terminations have two parts to the dictionary form. Pretty simple. Adjectives that have three terminations, those will be adjectives where each of these is a different word to begin with. Okay, then once you actually start filling out the chart, then all the ibises fall where you would think they would fall, and things like that. So there are adjectives of one termination where all three of these yellow squares are all the same word. And so we're going to be seeing each of those, but we're going to start with adjectives of two terminations. We're going to start in the middle. Okay, so how does this work? Well, all right, breve is the nominative, and so we're going to have breve down here as well. Okay, brevis. Now, you might have looked at this dictionary form and said, that looks like a genitive. Doesn't look like a nominative. Well, nominatives are various, right, for the third declension. And so who's to say that brevis couldn't also be a nominative? You had that word colis, right? So colis was a nominative and a genitive. So guess what? Brevis is also the genitive singular. So it's going to take us a couple minutes to fill this out for the first time, but then it's going to go really fast once we've done it. Okay, and then for most of this, we can use the song to fill out what the rest of the things in the chart are going to be. But first, I want to tell you about three differences. If you feel confident in knowing how to decline third declension nouns, you need to know three things before you can decline third declension adjectives. Okay, and so all of those three things have to do with the letter I. Okay, so in the third declension, you learned that there were some words that end in and some words that end in ium for the genitive plural. So one thing you should know about adjectives is all third declension adjectives are I stems. So this is not going to be brevum, it's going to be brevium. Brevium, I'm going to copy brevium and put it in the genitive plural for all three genders. Okay. So various is e, brevi, m, brevem. And here's your second difference, your second thing you need to know that has to do with the letter I. You would expect this to be breve, but it's not. It's actually in the ablative, brevi. Sometimes a, sometimes breve. Brevi, but sometimes breve. It's sometimes breve in poetry, like if they needed to preserve a rhyme or something like that, and breve made the rhyme better than brevi. But only in poetry and only sometimes in poetry. So otherwise, it's brevi for adjectives in the ablative. So thing number one, all adjectives are I stems in the genitive plural, so ium. And then it's an E, it's brevi instead of breve. So that also has to do with I. What's the third thing we need to know? The third thing we need to know is over here, because these are neuters, we have to follow the neuter rule, right? Breve and breve, they're the same. And the plurals for the neuters have A's, right? Like the plural of bellum is bella, or the plural of corpus is corpora. Instead of A, it's E, it's IA, it's ia, brevia. So I'm going to copy brevia and put it down here as well. So those are three things we need to know that all have to do with the letter I. Brevia in the neuter plurals for nominative and accusative. I stems, brevium, and then the ablative singular is brevi, sometimes breve. Now, the rest we can just kind of fill in with the song. Various is, ema, ace. So this would be breves, ace, ibis, ace, ibis. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and I'm going to fill in. I'm going to fill in my ibises. And now I'm going to fill in my breves. Breves would go here, breves would go there. What goes here? Brevi. Get our macron on there. And then what goes here? Brevem. So there is the full adjective brevis breve declined in all of its glory. Now we're going to take a look at a couple sentences that have the word brief or short in them. Iter breve est. Oh, here's the example I just used a moment ago. Iter is a trip or a journey. It's a neuter word, and so I'm using breve because it's also the subject. So I'm going to use the nominative form. So iter breve est. So the journey is short. And that's what that means. In your notes, as you watch this video, you are taking notes. What you're going to need to have is each of the sentences that I give you, both the Latin to English and the English to Latin, and then also each of the adjectives that I give you, fully declined. So you can perhaps just watch the video and then pause once it's all done to do all of your copying, or if you want to follow along and do them as I go, that's up to you. Okay, and then make sure that right under each grid is are your two sentences. Okay, so let's take a look at the English to Latin one. The supply of short swords was in the camp. All right, so what's our subject here? Looks like the supply is our subject, and the supply is a copia. So supply of short swords. All right. Let's pretend short isn't there and just says supply of swords. I need a genitive, gladiorum, genitive plural, right? Of swords. Now, because short swords, because it's swords described by an adjective, I need to have my ending on brev agree with gladiorum. I need it to be the same case. So I need it to also be genitive plural. And then I need it to be the same gender too. Gladius is a masculine word. So I need brev to be masculine. I need it to be masculine and I need it to be genitive plural. Those are my three ways that they need to agree. Gender and then number and case. So genitive and plural. So I can take a look back. Masculine, genitive, plural. Well, all of them are the same, so I guess it didn't really matter that it was masculine. So brevium. So gladiorum brevium would be of the short swords, of short swords. All right, was in the camp. In the camp would be in castris erat. Copia gladiorum brevium in castris erat. The supply of short swords was in the camp. All right, let's take a look before we go into our next adjective at our adjectives in our first list in the book. So this is our first third declension adjective list. We got gravis grave, which means heavy, severe, or serious. We did brevis breve just a moment ago. Communis commune, common. Difficilis difficile, difficult. Fortis forte, strong or brave. Nobilis nobile, noble or renowned, famous, could also mean. Omnis omne, all or every. So let's do our next adjective. It's going to work exactly the same way. Dulcis dulce. Dulcis dulce. So dulcis, our first part of our dictionary form, goes for masculine and for feminine. Let me just center these, or that's going to bother me. Okay, dulcis is also our genitive, singular. Dulci, dulcam, and then down here was one of our exceptions. What was our exception? It's dulci again, sometimes e. And that's what these are going to be as well on the feminine side. There we go. What about the neuter? Well, we're going to have dulce again. It's got to match. This one is going to be dulci. And here we're going to have dulci. Sometimes e. All right. dulces. I'm going to copy that because we want to use it down here as well. And then up here, and then here. We're going to use dulcium because all third declension adjectives are I stems. Dulcium, dulcium. Here we're going to use dulcia. Going to use it in the nominative plural and again in the accusative plural. And then all that's left for us to put is dulcibus. And so again, you should be copying down this adjective in your notes. And then you can pause it right here to get it all filled out. And we're going to take a look at our sentences that have sweet in them. So here's our Latin one. Puellae dulces in provincia habitant. Puellae dulces in provincia habitant. So I see my verb as habitant. It's a plural verb. And so this is probably our subject. It's a plural word, puellae. So this means the girls habitant, they live. But there's this word dulces. What's it describing? Well, it's an adjective of quality, which means it's probably describing the word before it, right? And so let's see, it looks like it's plural. Puellae is plural, so that makes sense. It would be a little bit of a red flag if I had a word that was a singular, like a singular adjective, but with a plural word that I thought it went with. If you ever see that, then it's probably not describing what you think it's describing. But here it's working out. So not just the girls, but the sweet girls. So the sweet girls live in the province. And then our second sentence, the sailors see victory, a sweet reward. Okay. So the sailors are the subject, nautai. Sailors are masculine. Now they see, so that would be vident. They see. And what do they see? They see victory. So victory should be in the accusative. Victoria, victoriae is our dictionary form. Victoriam would be our accusative. So nautai victoriam vident. But victoriam, a little bit more information is given about victory. A sweet reward. Okay. So if we have an appositive, the word in the appositive should also be the same case as the word that it's giving more information about. And so the word reward in the appositive, reward is our noun that is in the appositive, and sweet is our adjective that's in the appositive. So let's do reward first. That would be premium. It's a neuter word. It should also be in the accusative. Well, hey, because it's neuter, nominative and accusative are the same. So premium. Now we're going to add our stem for sweet, and so that's dulc. So what do we need? We need an accusative, neuter, singular. Accusative, neuter, and singular. So let's look back here. Neuter, accusative, and singular. So that's going to be dulce. So premium dulce. Vident. Nautai victoriam premium dulce. Vident. Let's do one more adjective. Let's do two more. Gravis grave. Okay. Gravis is also our genitive singular. Let's see how quickly we can do it. I think it's the limiting factor is going to be the speed of my computer. So to gravis, gravi, for all of them. We've got gravem. For these two, for the masculine and feminine, here it's just going to be grave because we want it to match the nominative. And then down here we're going to have gravi, sometimes grave. And we're going to put that 3 times. And I'm just going to give you a fair warning, you're never going to use grave, but I do want you to put that there so that once you do, and you will start to see poetry eventually, it won't confuse you because you'll have put this E there and yeah, it just won't confuse you. Okay, so graves, that's going to go here, it's going to go there, it's going to go there. All I stems, so gravium. Here we have gravia, which we're going to use in the accusative. And then finally, gravibus. All right, let's take a look at our sentences. Bella gravia in provincia erant. So bella gravia in provincia erant. So erant is were, bella. Oh, well, bella is plural because it's a neuter word. So this means there were wars. Ooh, erant bella. So there were wars, and not just any wars, bella gravia. There were blank wars. So severe wars, or you could say, what's the other meaning? Serious wars. And where were they? In provincia, in the province. In the province. Okay, our next sentence. He gave a heavy supply of grain to the leaders of the army. All right. So he gave would be dedit. That is our verb. And so we're not going to have a real subject because the he is going to be wrapped up into gave, into our verb dedit. So a heavy supply. Okay. So our first word is actually going to be supply, right? Because we're going to put supply first, then heavy. So copia is our word for supply. But he gave a supply. It needs to be in the accusative. So our first word is actually going to be copiam. Okay. So copiam dedit means he gave a supply. If I just leave the sentence right here, I have the sentence, he gave a supply. Now I want to say he gave a heavy supply. So if I'm adding an adjective to this, it's also got to be in the accusative. It's also got to be feminine. So let's take a look. Accusative and feminine. Gravem. So copiam, gravem. That's a heavy supply. Now we're going to say of what? We're going to add a genitive to it. Copiam gravem of grain. So that would be frument. And now it's grain on the singular side. It's crops on the plural side. So frumenti would be of grain. So copium gravem frumenti dedit. He gave a heavy supply of grain. Now we want to say to the leaders of the army. Whew, to the leaders. So dux, ducus is leader. Well, we want the dative of that. And we want dative plural, ducibus, to the leaders of the army. Exercit. This is a fourth declension word. All right, I'm going to do my song. I need of the army, so I just need the second one. Us, us. Okay, exercitus. So it's going to have to be the one with the macron. So there we go. Our final answer. Copiam gravem frumenti, ducibus exercitus dedit. And our last one, omnis omne. An adjective of two terminations. Omnis is one termination. We use that for masculine and for feminine. Omne is the one for neuter. All right. Let's see how fast we can do this. I'm not going to worry about formatting. Omnis, 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 omni, 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 omnem, omnem, and this one's going to be just omne, omni, sometimes omne, omnes, okay, all three are I stems. Omnium, here we're going to have omnia. I'm going to have it down there too. And lastly, omnibus. All right, let's look at the sentences. And this is the last thing we'll do in this video. Omnes leges Romanae in Roma sunt. Omnes leges Romanae. So sunt is our verb. They are. And what's our thing that are? Omnes is an adjective. Romanae, it's an adjective. The leges is our subject here. So the laws are. All right. What adjective do we have describing laws? We have omnes leges. So omnes is an adjective of quantity, right? It tells you how many. How many? All of them. It's an adjective of quantity. So all the laws, and you can see that it matches. It's plural. They're both plural. Law is feminine, and omnes is also feminine. If you don't trust me, you can have a look. Feminine, omnes, right? Omnes leges Romanae. Oh, this word has two adjectives. It has an adjective of quantity, omnes, and it has an adjective of quality too, Roman. So all Roman laws. So all Roman laws in Roma sunt, are in Rome. All Roman laws are in Rome. And the last sentence, the emperor gave a supply of crops to all the legions. All right. So the emperor is imperator. Nominative form is imperator because it's our subject. Gave, so dedit. So there's our emperor gave a supply. So our word for supply is copia, copiae. We want it to be copiam because he gave a supply. We need it to be in the accusative. A supply of crops. Okay. Frument. Now it means crops on the plural side. So frumenta. of crops, sorry, frumentorum. So I want it to be genitive and plural. So copium frumentorum is a supply of crops to all the legions. Okay, and this is where our adjective is going to be. All is our adjective describing legions. So let's ignore the all part and just say to the legions. Okay, so we want legio legionis. That's our dictionary form, legio legionis. And we're going to want the dative of that, which means I'm going to take this is off and I'm going to get rid of legio. Legion is our stem, and that's what we're going to need. So the legions, legionibus, would be to the legions. So this is dative and plural. Now what we need is I'm going to put my omn here because it's all the legions, and we need omn to have a dative plural ending. And I guess it doesn't matter the gender because dative plural is all ibis, right? So omnibus legionibus. Omnibus legionibus to all the legions. So imperator copium frumentorum omnibus legionibus dedit. All right, so you'll need to show me your 4 adjectives fully declined in your notes and your 8 sentences, 2 sentences for each adjective. This wasn't a thinker, it's just a doer. And so thank you for putting in the time on this. I know it's a long assignment, but that will give us plenty of time to do the other things we need to be doing in class. All right, valete omnes.